Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a conversation with Tom Caldwell. He is chairman of Caldwell Securities in Toronto. I think the World Economic Forum is actually happening now. Not that you or I got an invitation, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Great Reset and some other things.
Yeah.
What's your comment on that?
Well, Trudeau's been using that a reset. You know what reset? What reset? The guy's never had a job. I mean, the point is, what are we going to reset? Why not let people make their own economic decisions? And that has proven to be immensely profitable to the Western world. But there is this pressure, and quote, climate change is at the back of it. There's a whole bunch of ingredients, and there's all kinds of conspiratorial theories floating around the web, and probably some of them are half believable. I don't believe all of them, obviously. You'd just curl up in a ball. But I do think the gas one versus electric vehicles is kind of interesting. I have a Cadillac, which I refer to as the hangar queen because it's always in the garage, that is getting fixed. But in a Tesla, for example, if you need to get the car tuned, you don't have to take it in.
No.
They can do it from the factory or whatever. And that means you have control of the vehicles. I mean, suppose the government decides we're having an electrical shortage, they can say, okay, everybody drives their car for only 2 hours today, and that goes onto your car. It's about control,
right?
And that's the thing that in these conspiratorial theories, people are buying more and more into because they're getting enough, snippets to feed that kind of thinking. But
well,
I don't think
and what's happening in California, where they do have electricity shortages and are telling people don't drive your electric car on every other day or what have you. So it's a reality too.
Absolutely. So I think people generally, and I can't speak for the mass of humanity or even Canadians, but there is a malaise that people feel they're not as in charge of their lives as they have been. And this comes from the sense of being overgoverned, overtold what should be, by people, quite frankly, who couldn't get jobs in the real world.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the malaise, one of the things that sort of bothers us. Let people make their own decisions, and they generally make good ones. I've made some bad decisions in my life, but they were the best learning experiences for me.
There you go. There you go. Well, I do. I want to bring it back to business investment, Tom. Capital investment per worker in Canada is the lowest since the 1930s, according to the C.D. Howe Institute. This maybe goes to your point in the first segment, but we're not a very efficient economy right now.
We are not seen as an attractive investment destination. You know, I was thinking about Canada. We should be an energy powerhouse. We should be a manufacturing powerhouse. We should be an entrepreneurial powerhouse. We should be a technological powerhouse. We should even be a financial powerhouse. We're none of those things. Mm. And the reason being is we've had policies that don't just ignore them, that are actually hostile, including a mineral powerhouse. We are so blessed in Canada that it's sooner or later you think we're going to have to account for what we have not done, and it's kind of an interesting exercise we're going through now. Now, this is coming from an old guy perspective, but it's as if the country is peopled by teenagers who spend all their time blaming their parents for stuff they did wrong in the past. We seem to be a lot of retroactive judging of things. And as you really should say to a teenager, get a job, start contributing, and then you can have some say. But to a priori or academically criticize everything that's gone before you, and that's been almost a policy coming out of governments, whether it be changing the name of Dundas Street. One of the great abolitionists, or Ryerson, advocate of free education, or John A. Macdonald starting the country. All of this stuff is like dismantling our history, so that you can create a different history going forward. So I do think all of these things are resulting in a decline in investment and investment confidence. I mean, I mentioned to John Tory when he was mayor, wrote him a note, also to the current mayor, that a war on cars is a war on business, not just big business. It's a war on restaurants. It's a war on small businesses. People don't come downtown anymore. Restaurants downtown are vacant now. Stores are closing regularly. And it's because the bicycle people, God bless them, they're not the big consumers. They're not the big employers. And this is increasingly impacting our tax base. And we're seeing it in Toronto, big time. And I think you're going to see it in other places as well. So problem is not achieving those goals. If this was a company, you'd say the problem is management.
Right.
And the problem is still leadership. I know that's one of my current themes, but it's going to be up to us whether we change it or not, and we'll bear responsibility for it.
Indeed, indeed. We're having a conversation with Tom Caldwell. He's chairman of Caldwell Securities. We're going to continue that after the break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.